Good evening, fervent viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe TV. Our major stories tonight: the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, continues to sound the alarm on Cameroon's waste management crisis, urging all stakeholders to pitch in and help clean the nation's capital, Yaoundé, and other cities. The minister, with other top government officials, had earlier made similar calls, but tangible results are still lacking. What's different this time, or will this be another empty promise? Find out in tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Also, former Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Ange Michel Angrin, is shaking things up with his bold call for justice and accountability in Cameroon. In a social media post, he asks, "What are we afraid of?" He says Cameroonians are fed up with the rising trend of corruption, embezzlement, and misuse of public funds. Those are top stories tonight. Good evening, and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. It's a pleasure being with you on tonight's edition of the news, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. The city of Dschang in the west region of Cameroon is facing a severe waste crisis, with trash accumulating at major city junctions. The municipality's collection fleet was destroyed during post-election unrest, leaving residents to reason out their own solutions. Community-led sanitation drives have emerged as a response, with locals taking matters into their own hands. More with Law McNero.
We are in Dschang, where circulation is becoming difficult due to the heaps of dirt found around town. Not far from the government school in Dschang, teachers use plank to help burn part of this dirt to ameliorate, cleanse the environment. Consequently, the inhabitants of this area took upon them to help clean up the town.
We noticed that our town is kind of being neglected as time passes. That's why we decided to clean it up. We also want by this action to encourage the local population and prove to them that they have not been abandoned. This is a humanitarian action, which is an act of solidarity with the local population.
They call on administrative and councils to place public trash cans in the town. This cleaning was equally done in hospitals, universities, public parks all around this region. According to the organ in charge of hygiene, the cars allocated for this cleanup were all burned during the post-electoral crisis, thus the main cause of this filthy state of Dschang.
And in reaction to this dirty state of our streets and junctions, the Minister of Territorial Administration has ordered that all hands be put on deck to solve the problem of poor waste management in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, and also in other parts of the country. He was speaking in a meeting with some administrative officials in Yaoundé. More with Babila Jonathan.
The rate of deaths on the streets of towns and cities of Cameroon has reached a level qualified by authorities as unacceptable.
We cannot accept all the time seeing trash cans placed alongside the road. We have asked the mayor of the city and all council staff and mayors to look for appropriate areas where the trash cans will be placed so that we can collect household waste between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Territorial Administration Minister Atanganji Paul calls on everyone to partake in efforts to reverse the rising death trend.
Keeping Yaoundé clean, keeping Douala clean, keeping Bamenda clean, keeping Boya clean should be an individual responsibility as well as a collective responsibility. So the administrative authorities, the governor, the SGOs and the DOs are there to accompany the process.
He assembled administrative authorities of the Central Region and the Mfundi Division in particular in Yaoundé to urge them to help municipal authorities and other administrations in enhancing the hygienic state of the nation's capital Yaoundé and its environs.
Henceforth, administrative authorities shall support the city mayor, sub-divisional council mayors, waste collection companies nationwide so as to keep our cities clean as instructed by Head of State President Paul Biya.
The garbage heaps in different parts of Yaoundé and its environs are thus expected to be cleared off in the days ahead.
Now in other news, the devastating post-electoral crisis in Cameroon has left a trail of economic destruction, with businesses reeling from estimated losses of billions of francs CFA. Hotels, restaurants, construction, industry and the energy sectors were hardest hit, forcing many to shut down and sparking widespread job losses and also economic instability. As the country looks to move forward, GCAM President Celestine Tawamba is calling for urgent reforms to restore trust and revive the economy, as Malaglori tells us.
The Employers Association of Cameroon, GCAM, joined its voice to other political actors, opinion leaders, human rights defenders and Cameroonians at large who are calling for a new government. According to GCAM, Cameroon's most representative private sector organization, this call is important, especially at the end of an election which gives room to new initiatives, both social and economic. As much as it is important to appoint new members of the government, the real challenge lies in how efficient they will be, because only clear governance and resolution oriented towards the well-being of Cameroonians will restore trust, stimulate investment and promote inclusive growth and stability. While addressing the nation on the 31st of December 2025, the President of the Republic announced the appointment of a new government. But since then, uncertainty has influenced the population's decision, and the impact of the post-electoral violence, which has affected most businesses, thus hindering them from reinvesting for the development of the country. It is in this context that GCAM sends an appeal to His Excellency, the President of the Republic, for the establishment of a new government affecting immediate action and to restore trust. GCAM therefore calls on the authorities concerned to put in place a new government that will consider the worries and suggestions to better the economic sector for the development of the country.
And now to one of our major lead stories tonight. Former Cameroonian Minister Michel Angwang sparks debate on justice and accountability in Cameroon. In a viral social media post, Michel Angwang, former Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, has called for introspection and accountability within Cameroon's justice system, writing, "De quoi avons-nous peur? What are we afraid of?" Angwang emphasizes the need for transparency, respect to the rule of law, and an end to reckless freedoms taken with public funds. More with Fomi Armstrong Sander.
In a poignant social media post, Michel Angwang, former Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, sparked a critical debate on the state of justice and accountability in Cameroon. Writing "De quoi avons-nous peur?" in French, "What are we afraid of?" Angwang emphasizes the need for transparency, respect for the rule of law, and an end to reckless freedoms taken with public funds. Michel Angwang highlights issues of corruption, embezzlement, and social cohesion erosion, citing President Paul Biya's acknowledgement that to err is human. He stresses that magistrates, when acting with integrity, protect citizens' freedoms and ensure justice without fear or favor. He says the Republic must restart with reconverted, honest, just and competent individuals defending its values. His social media outing has sparked discussions on governance, justice and accountability in Cameroon. Michel Angwang's call for reforms resonates with many, emphasizing the importance of values like patriotism, solidarity and respect for public wealth. Ange Michel Angwen's message comes amid growing concerns about the country's justice system and its ability to address pressing issues like corruption and insecurity. As a former minister, a magistrat or a shell, and current advisor to the Ministry of Justice in Cameroon, his voice alone adds weight to the debate across the country.
And now we talk something else. Businesswomen in Cameroon are seeking ways of unlocking the potentials of women whom society most often consider for being ready only for the kitchen or the background. This is a result of a woman business forum to take place in the month of February. It's going to be piloted by a female member of the Chamber of Commerce, Élysée Germany, and will permit women connect with others who can assist them level up. More with Annabella.
Embarking on a business venture has always been a daunting task for most women and girls in Cameroon. Setting up a successful small or medium-sized enterprise most often is met with many societal challenges.
Vous savez que les femmes sont dans la précarité. Ces femmes-là du secteur informel, ces femmes dans les zones rurales qui n'ont pas forcément l'accès facile aux médias.
Women entrepreneurs in Cameroon are seeking ways of breaking these barriers that female folk face in the business world. Élysée Germany is an elected member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mais il y a des modes de financement de proximité qu'on peut mettre sur pied pour aider ces femmes.
According to these entrepreneurs, women will be given the opportunity to display their know-how, exhibit hidden talents in the very first edition of the Women Entrepreneurship and Trade Fair, which will target and unlock the business potentials of women and girls in the littoral and southwest regions.
Il faut mobiliser les femmes au niveau des départements et les mettre autour d'une table.
With a push from the Littoral Regional Delegation for Women's Empowerment and the Promotion of the Family and other matrons, plus the Chamber of Commerce, the business women are poised to see to it that women are not left behind in a world controlled by those with an independent financial capability.
And the Equinoxe delegation to Morocco is back to base after more than a month covering the just-ended Africa Cup of Nations. The reporters and technicians arrived to Douala, Cameroon on Wednesday morning, warmly welcomed by colleagues before boarding on an Equinoxe TV VIP bus that dropped them to their various homes to reunite with their loved ones. More with Innocent Aze.
4 weeks in Morocco covering the Africa Cup of Nations 2025 from final preparations to the final with Senegal emerging champions. The Equinoxe delegation that constituted reporters and technicians dispersed to cover matches in all the stadia found in different cities are back in Douala, Cameroon. They touched down the Douala International Airport early Wednesday at about 3 a.m. Upon their arrival, they received a warm welcome from colleagues who were already waiting for their airbus to land. They were visibly glad for a safe flight from Morocco to Cameroon, and for reuniting with their colleagues they have missed for over a month. Warmth is also another thing they missed while in Morocco.
I've been sweating. Beginning from the airport of Douala, I started sweating. I've not sweated for almost 1 month and some days, which is to tell you how cold Morocco was when we were there. But thank God none of us fell ill. Thank God we did the work that Equinoxe Television asked us to do, and we are glad to be back in Cameroon to continue the work we know doing.
Throughout the continental football competition, they had sleepless nights to give updates on what transpired in the various cities that hosted games, including training sessions of the participating teams, pre-match press conferences and post-match press conferences, and more. Despite the bulk of work on their shoulders, they did not relent.
I gave up my best to ensure that the English news and PG news at the same time had a feel of what was happening in Morocco. It is an experience, and I want to thank the top management for always having confidence in me.
Smart Dschang Gabriel, who was part of the delegation to Morocco, salutes Morocco for the magnificent stadia built for the competition.
Congratulations to Morocco, because in terms of infrastructure, they were top-notch. Almost all of the stadiums that I had time to visit, they were of standards the Moroccans were not preparing even for the Nations Cup. They made us to know that they are preparing for 2030, which is the FIFA World Cup that they are supposed to host alongside Portugal and Spain. So it was a great experience.
He and others were transported from the airport to their various homes to reunite with their families who had missed them so dearly for over a month.
Congratulations for the amazing job done while in Morocco, and welcome back home. Now, we take you out of Cameroon, where former Burkina Faso leader Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba has been extradited from Togo to face accusations of plotting coups and assassination attempts. Damiba was ousted in the year 2022 and had been living in Togo. The Togolese government confirmed the extradition, citing accusations of embezzlement, corruption, and incitement to commit crimes. Meanwhile, Cameroonian nationals and citizens from 25 other African countries can no longer file long visa applications for the United States of America. More with Sidi Chakutio.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the ongoing wave of arrests is not limited to political or security figures. It also targets associates of Colonel Nanga, former president of the Independent National Electoral Commission and current coordinator of the IFC M23 rebel group. Several members of his family are currently in exile or detained. The latest case, DJ Ilani Nanga, arrested and detained for 13 days in the National Intelligence Agency facility in Ohule province. According to reports, DJ Ilani Nanga had already been questioned several times by the security services. This time, he is involved in a mining dispute, an issue that regularly resurfaces in cases concerning Colonel Nanga related to a gold exploitation concession. Elsewhere, the Togolese government confirmed on Tuesday, January 20, 2026, that they had extradited the country's former transitional president, former Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, to Burkina Faso on January 17, 2026. Damiba was overthrown in 2022 and has since been accused of masterminding several coup attempts. Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba seized power in January 2022 in a coup against the then elected president Roch Marc Christian Kabore before being overthrown himself 9 months later by Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Lieutenant Colonel Damiba had been living in exile in Lomé since October 2022. While in exile in Togo, he was regularly accused of trying to destabilize the junta that succeeded him. And in the United States of America, as part of the new immigration rules introduced by President Donald Trump, the United States announced the suspension effective on Wednesday, January 21, 2026, of all applications for permanent immigration visas from 75 countries, including 26 African countries. Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon and Senegal are among these affected countries. Unlike tourist visas, this measure concerns long-stay visas, which notably allow family reunification or access to employment in the United States. According to Washington, this suspension aims to give authorities a time to thoroughly review the entire process for granting these residence permissions.
And that report done by Sidi Chakutio ends this first part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. Tonight on Talking Point, we'll be looking at the problem of poor waste management and the way out of this crisis that has been affecting the country for a long time now. And to answer my questions, I'll be receiving Simon MUKETE. He is a public relations and strategy expert. Good evening. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Thanks once more. Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to be here and to carry on this interesting program together.
Simon MUKETE, how are you and your neighbors coping with the problem of waste in your neighborhood?
Difficult, because that's a big question, because as a citizen, that's a major problem. I mean, we have a lot of waste. In my house, I have like 7 people living with me, and believe me, it's not easy to manage. We have to try to trace who can do it, because first of all, my neighbors and those around me, they have a special place where they just go and dump and we can have it there for so long. But I think there have been a little bit of improvement, but it's not enough. There have been, I think, for example, in Douala, there have been a second company that have been that have come in place. I think the board of directors of the Douala City Council, they authorized the mayor to get a second company. But is this really going to solve the problem? This is a temporary solution, but I think we need a real waste management plan, because we see that it's difficult for individuals to handle the waste. I mean, we produce a lot of waste from our houses, and we just have to put them in front of our doors, or we just dump them somewhere around the street. And at the end of the day, we have mosquitoes. It becomes a health issue. It becomes a hygiene issue. It becomes an environment problem. So, I mean, a lot of things are attached to that. So, for me personally, I find it difficult. Sometimes I have to take my waste along with my car, so that when I move around the town, I can find a place where I can deposit my waste in all over Douala, which is not easy. But I think there have been a little bit of progress this last week, but definitely it's not enough. It has to be a real government issue today to try to handle the waste as if it's a national health emergency problem.
The problem of waste management in Cameroon has been a cause for concern for over 5 years now. Is there any justification for this alarming situation of poor waste management in our major cities today?
I think there are many things that comes in play. I think we have to first of all say it's a matter of poor governance. I think the government has failed completely so far as waste management is concerned, because we have seen a lot of top government officials trying to make a way. The Prime Minister spoke. I mean, we can see that it's above the capacity today. It's very clear of the ministry in charge of housing. And I think this is also, this also outlines a major issue concerning the decentralization, because a lot of power and strength and means need to be given to the local communities to carry out this management, because most of the companies, they can't really handle, because they have a nationwide authorization to move on with their various activities. But I think today is a health issue, it's an economic issue is the steps development, it's a social problem, and definitely transforming our cities into garbage centers. And I think we can't continue like this. We know very well that it is possible to do things differently. It is possible to build up a serious economy around waste management. So we can understand why all this delay, why all this kind of laziness around waste management, because we can have waste on major streets, piles and piles of waste, tons and tons on our major streets all over Cameroon, and I think, and we just take it to be normal. So it seems as if they have just abandoned, the authorities have abandoned their responsibilities, or I don't know, should the population take upon themselves to clean the city? I don't think it is their responsibility. They can't do that. But I think we have to find a balanced way of handling this issue. But definitely, the various authorities who are concerned need to lift up to their responsibilities, which is not the case today.
As you earlier said, we have seen initiatives taken by top government officials, including the Prime Minister, Chief Joseph Dschang, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Kecha-Kutes, and many others who have demanded that the situation be managed. Despite these efforts, the situation remains unchanged. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, as we saw in the report done by Babila Jonathan, held a meeting today with some administrative and municipal authorities. Do you think this meeting will be able to yield results?
I think today any solution that can bring any move that can bring a real solution, because we need, it's a national problem. It's not only in some cities, it's all over Cameroon. And the real problem is that there is no money to take care of this. So how do we how do we get the funding, and what is a clear strategy, government strategy to come out of the waste? I think some people will say, why is the Minister of Administration, how do you call it again? The Minister of Administration taking care of this? But I think definitely it somehow concerns the cities, because he is also the administrative boss of Cameroon. So definitely, if the cities are dirty, it's impacting the public security of Cameroonians. So is this going to be enough? I think today, I hope that a very firm decision and very firm proposal will come out of these meetings, because if not, it's just going to be one more meeting, because there have been several meetings on this, from the ministry in charge of this, from the local council, but we haven't moved very much. So I hope that this should be a meeting that is going to bear fruits, that would definitely clean our cities and also give us really an image that we deserve, because Cameroon can't be this dirty, because if our cities are dirty, it means that Cameroonians themselves are very, very dirty. It's just the image of who we are as Cameroonians, because we dump our debts everywhere. Our authorities can't clean our cities. So it means that definitely our country and Cameroonians are very dirty people.
Do you think decentralization is the way out of this waste management crisis?
I think so. I think a lot of failures on many issues are around decentralization. Remember, the decentralization was put in place almost 30 years ago, and we are not even up to 15% of the execution of this decentralization. So this is a real government issue. Everything is too centralized. Even waste management is centralized. So it's a problem. The council, they don't really have the right to just engage a company to clean the city. It's very funny, of which this should be under their powers. So I think decentralization can be a real solution, but the decentralization must be very, very effective. So far, it's not effective, and the central government is not ready to release these powers to the local government. And then we have what we have today, not only with the waste, there are many other issues that have been blocked today because of this over-centralized management of basic citizens' issues that could have been done differently. I mean, we have to find a way to bring the governance close to the population. And the ideal way is to try to make sure that we implement in a full, complete way the decentralization that have been put in place almost 30 years ago. It is really a shame that 30 years after, we are unable to manage waste. Can you imagine that? We can't manage waste in Cameroon 30 years after the decentralization. I mean, our cities are getting dirtier and dirtier, and there seems to be no solution. Very few cosmetic solutions, but we need real solution. The ideal solution would have been to find a way to get companies that can transform also this waste into manure, into fuel. There are a lot of there's a lot of financial outcomes in managing waste. So we have to find a true way to come up with a clear solution. I hope that the meeting with the Minister of Minat will come up with something fruitful. I hope so, but I'm hesitating a lot.
All through, we have been looking at the failures of the government in managing waste in our country. Let's now look at another aspect. We have citizens who are being blamed for littering waste along major streets. You just see someone seated in the car, peeling the peel of bananas, throwing it out of the window, and other aspects. What's your message to them, and can they become responsible Cameroonians?
I think today people have to be responsible. As parents, as adults, we see people, when you go to the market today, people just peel up stuff from the plastic bag and they just throw the plastic bag. When you ask them, they say, no, the company will come and pull. They will come and sweep. They don't give a damn. So there's also a serious education process to put in place and sanctions. But we have to coordinate all of this in such a way that it's a clear plan and it's very legible and visible for all the citizens to know that the government is putting effort to clean the city. So if you dirty the city, these are the consequences. Because people just drive their beautiful cars, 100 million CFA, and they put down the glass and then they throw a bottle of water above the street. You know, we see that a lot. They throw papers and a lot of stuff. So I think it's an educational process, but this is not enough. We have to show, the government have to show, those who are leading have to show that we are cleaning the city, and then you can start sanctioning. You have to first of all clean the city, educate, and then later on we can sanction. But I think we have to upgrade our hygiene knowledge so far as Cameroon is concerned. It's a matter of leadership. If we lead by example, I think we are going to make a way to come out of this dirtiness, because definitely Cameroon is very, very dirty today. If Cameroon is dirty, it means that we Cameroonians are also very dirty. We can't blame only the authorities. We can't blame only the city council. I think Cameroonians also have their own responsibilities there. We have to make sure that we collect our debts, keep them together, and don't just open your window and pour the debts out of your window, or you go and put your garbages inside the various drainage that we have all over our cities, all over Cameroon.
Simon MUKETE, thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
But I also think this is a very important issue, and it's more than a national issue, because it's all about health, it's all about education, it's all about the Cameroon that we want tomorrow for our kids, the Cameroon, the image that we want to show out of our country. And I think today the image that we sell out of Cameroon with all this debt all over the whole place is not a good one. It's an alarm that is ringing on all Cameroonians to make sure that we try to clean our city, and we try to learn to lift up our country to what it deserves.
Simon MUKETE, public relations and strategy expert. And it's on that note that we put an end to tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. But stay tuned to more interesting programs on Equinoxe television. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.